Okay, so the NFL Top 100 came out a few weeks ago, and people were mad, to say the least. So I'll just give my thoughts on the top 50. And this is really just purely based off of statistics, but obviously a little bit off of playoff success and all the other stuff that the actual NFL players do vote on. First up, at number 50, we have Rashan Gary. I can understand somewhat why the players put him here, but statistically, I think he shouldn't even be in the top 75. Now, that is a little bit of a stretch, but I do think that this is a vast over-exaggeration of previous things he has done. But don't worry, next up we have Derrick Henry at 49. This is truly insane that he's this low. I mean, second in the league in yards, still 12 touchdowns. This guy should not be at 49. He's at least like a top 5 running back, but purely based off of last year, this is insane. The next one that I'm going to say something about is Jared Goff. It's not the worst ranking. I could understand it, but they have Matthew Stafford above him, which is just completely wrong in my opinion. Next up, another Lion is number 47, Aiden Hutchinson. Should not be this low. He probably should be about like 30s. I don't think it's atrocious of a ranking, but he is one of the best edge rushers. And then another back-to-back one is Antoine Winfield Jr. at 46. And with Kyle Hamilton at 43, only a few spots above, I don't think Kyle Hamilton should be moved down. He's still awesome, but Antoine Winfield should certainly be moved above him. I mean, obviously there are different types of defensive backs, specifically different types of safeties. And I certainly think that there's an argument that Kyle Hamilton is better, but I do certainly think that Kyle Hamilton should not be moved anywhere. I just feel that Antoine Winfield should be placed higher than Kyle, maybe even just one spot. Now, the next one that I have a problem with is obviously Matthew Stafford at 42. I don't really know why these players rank him so highly, maybe because he's veteran, maybe other things, but I mean, he's not even top 10 in yards or touchdowns. Obviously, the interceptions is decent. Other than that, I guess his QBR is 6th in the league, but I just don't think he should be higher than a couple of these other guys. He's probably like a top 15, probably more like top 10 quarterback, but he should not be this high. Now, skipping ahead a few spots, we got Tua Tagovailoa. Still don't 100% know how it's called. In this one, I think he should absolutely be higher. It's another Matthew Stafford situation where Jordan Love was just exploded after a half season of really good play. Meanwhile, Tua has easily the most passing yards in the league, and Tua should definitely be higher than 36. Then the next one is Josh Hines Allen. You didn't really need to change your last name, as Josh Hines Allen is certainly a top 5 edge rusher, possibly even top 4. And I don't think this is a terrible ranking. I just feel like it should be put up a little bit more. Next up, obviously Jordan Love at 34. Again, he was fantastic, but they should not have him this high. I understand it, but again, for like half the season, he was just terrible. But I mean, obviously, on the case of Jordan Love, he did end up with 7th most passing yards and 2nd most passing touchdowns, which is incredible. But I do think that this next year is going to really solidify him as a top, possibly 5 starting quarterback. But for now, 34 is definitely too high for Jordan. Next is Puka Nacua. This guy, however, is certainly what he says he is. I mean, already 4th in the league in yards as a low rookie and top 6 in yards per game. I think just because he was a low draft pick, they don't have him as high as he realistically should be. And I mean, also, I'm not like saying that he should be, top 15. I'm just saying that 33 is a bit too low. Now, another one that I have a problem with is 32 at Quincy Williams. I completely understand the hype. He's awesome and will be a top 5 linebacker, specifically coverage linebacker soon. But I just feel like his impact has not been felt as much as, number 32 says. Now, obviously, ranking defense is much harder to do than ranking quarterbacks or receivers because there's so many different things that specific defensive players do. And I mean, Quincy Williams is already top 15 in tackles and top 5 in solo tackles, which is incredible as he really came out of nowhere. And I do think that Quincy has certainly potential to be a top 20 player in the next year's rankings, but 32 for now is certainly too high in my book. Now, next up, we got Khalil Mack. I mean, this guy was just incredible last year. I mean, 21 tackles for loss, 10 pass deflections, 5 forced fumbles, just easily his best year. I mean, even the most sacks of his career with 17, which was 4th in the league. This guy should certainly be higher. I mean, he's, based off of last year, top 3 to maybe top 5 edge rusher. Khalil Mack should be higher. Now at 28, Brock Purdy. I think we could fully say at this point that Brock Purdy is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He led the league in so many statistics. QBR, QB rating. He was 3rd in touchdowns and 5th in yards, as well as being 3rd in completion percentage. Brock Purdy is a beast. And 28, still a fantastic rating. It should be higher though. Now at 26, Mike Evans. I think this one is fine. I think there's definitely room for him to be a little bit up the ranks. I mean, he had tied for the most touchdowns by a receiver. I think he could be higher, but 26, not terrible for Mike Evans. Now, number 25, Jalen Ramsey. I mean, I know he didn't play a lot, but that's just another thing that could be used against him. I mean, he still played 10 games, which is a decent amount. I mean, Justin Jefferson got 1,000 yards in that time, which completely different thing, but still. And this is just way too high for Jalen Ramsey. He obviously has the talent to be here, and in other years and probably future years he should be here, but after last year, bad production, didn't play much. No, should not even be close. And then next up, we got Amon-Ra St. Brown. Now, at this current point, receivers are definitely benefiting from A.J. Brown not having his best year. That's where Amon-Ra definitely lands, as he's 2 spots behind A.J. Brown. He's certainly better, at least off of last year. 3rd in the league in yards, 4th in the league in touchdowns, and I think this guy is definitely a top 3 receiver, along with Tyreek Hill and CeeDee Lamb. So this is just really disrespectful at this point. Obviously, the aforementioned A.J. Brown sucks as an Eagles fan, but unfortunately, based purely off of last year, just not a lot of production. Eagles overall had a down year, and this obviously affected AJ, and obviously Jalen Hurts, who's coming up as well. AJ last year was not as good as Amon-Ra or Puka. It's tough to say for me, but it's true. Obviously, as I just said, Jalen Hurts, yes, he's easily the 2nd best rushing quarterback, probably behind Lamar. Based off of last year, he was like a mid-throwing quarterback, and 15, unfortunately, is too high, and all of this really pains me to say as an Eagles fan, but all of it is incredibly true. I mean, Jalen Hurts literally had the 2nd most rushing touchdowns in the league. Obviously start with Josh Allen. Yeah, Jalen Hurts should not be here. Really pains me to say. And we do jump up a little bit to the aforementioned Joshua Allen. Now, besides his fantastic tweets, he also is a fantastic player. And number 12, super respectable. He's easily the 2nd best quarterback in the league. No doubts. I mean, with how rushing focused he can be, he still manages 4,000 yards, 29 touchdowns. Obviously, the one detractor is a shitload of interceptions. But with how good Josh Allen is, I think it's just like a Brett Favre type where it's just kind of how they play. But I think Josh Allen is easily 2nd best quarterback in the league. Next up, we have Fred Warner at 11. Not even a doubt in my mind, Fred Warner is the best linebacker. Not rushing linebacker, but easily the best linebacker. 11, slightly too low. And I think he should probably be a bit higher. Maybe not too much, but I think it definitely makes sense. Now at number 10, reaching the top 10, we got Maxx Crosby. This guy is easily 2nd best edge rusher in the league. I mean, he tied the league at most with tackles for loss. And even though he didn't have the most amount of sacks, for the amount of times he hit the QB, it's a lot. And we'll get to my actual rankings for the top 3 edge rushers very soon. As at number 8, TJ Watt. I mean, TJ is the best defensive player in the league. He realistically should have won Defensive Player of the Year, as he led the league in sacks easily, led the league in QB hits. He had 19 tackles for loss. And along with his ability to play off ball, he's incredible and should 100% be above Myles Garrett. Not speaking of which yet, we got Chris Jones at number 6. He's still really, really good, but I don't think he should be ahead of Maxx Crosby or TJ Watt whatsoever. And one person that I really don't think should be is Myles Garrett at 5. As I said, he's still 3rd best defensive edge rusher in the league, but he's certainly not better than TJ Watt or Max Crosby, in my mind. And obviously, Defensive Player of the Year helps, and I think players see that and like, oh, he's the best defense player in the league. But I don't think he was last year. But now we get to some of the most ludicrous ones, and I'm not talking about Aaron Rodgers making the list at all, which is still absolute bullshit and is insane. We got Patrick Mahomes at 4. And I mean, this is absolute daylight robbery. Now, obviously, I don't mean to glaze the guy. I'm just speaking the truth, okay? He may have had a down year by Patrick Mahomes standards in the regular season, but what this guy does in the playoffs is fucking insane. He is the best player in the league without a shadow of a doubt. And in the playoffs, he was incredible, and there's nothing you can do about it. But now moving on to some of the other ones, Lamar Jackson. And obviously, it was a bit of a silly MVP, bit of a Mickey Mouse. People are still looking at Lamar Jackson with, he's only a rusher, which is simply untrue. He's still one of the best passers in the league. But number 2 is a little bit ludicrous, with Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen sitting right behind him. But I mean, Lamar only had 3,600 yards, which was 15th best. He only had 24 passing touchdowns, and although he did have a few hundred more yards than Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen, not even close to as many rushing touchdowns. And obviously Jalen Hurts has the tush push, but Josh Allen is still Josh Allen. And I do think by the end of the regular season that Lamar was definitely better than Mahomes. He was certainly not by the end of the playoffs. Now obviously, number 1, Tyreek Hill. And this would be a perfect spot. He is the best receiver in the league. Not even questioning it. And I mean, he really did benefit with Justin Jefferson getting hurt, but that doesn't matter because Tyreek is still the best receiver in the league. And if it weren't for Patrick Mahomes, this one spot would be perfect for him. But unfortunately, Mahomes still exists. And Tyreek is not doing anything bad. He did everything he possibly could. But I think the only other thing would to have beaten Mahomes in the wild card, and then he would have 100% earned this one. But yeah, one spot too high because Mahomes exists. That's the video. Make sure to cry and whine and tell me your own opinions in the comments. I'd love to see it. And I also love to not care because it is your opinion and you can say whatever you want. But that was my opinion. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for 1,000 subscribers. Not even just for the money. This has been awesome on this journey to 1,000 subscribers, and I can't wait to keep growing. It still looks weird to look at YouTube and see 4 digits next to my username. So thank you all so much, and yeah, I'll see ya next time. See ya.